Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Perfect One, the harmoniously awakened One. Today I am going to talk to you about what is Buddhism. Today in the modern world, especially in the West, when people begin to speak about Buddhism, there are different kinds of Buddhism. There is Tibetan Buddhism, there is Chinese Buddhism, there is Japanese Buddhism, there is Burmese Buddhism, Thai Buddhism, Sri Lankan Buddhism, and also they begin to label these Buddhisms as Theravada or Mahayana or Vajrayana and various ways. But in actual fact, Buddhism can only be one thing, which is the teachings of the Buddha. When the teachings of the Buddha went to different parts of the world, they were accepted into different cultures. And when the teachings entered the culture, it took a different form. So what we find today is different Buddhist cultures that come to the West, like Tibetan Buddhist culture, or Chinese Buddhist culture, or Japanese Buddhist culture, or Burmese Buddhist culture, Thai Buddhist culture, Sri Lankan Buddhist culture. So these are different cultures. So we have to be able to distinguish between the original teachings of the Buddha and the Buddhist cultures. Unless we are able to make a distinction, we won't be able to really understand the teachings of the Buddha. So this is why I did a lifelong research. Really, my research started when I was about 16 or 17 years, when I was not satisfied with the teachings of the Buddha found in my culture. I was born into a Buddhist culture, but I was more interested in the truth about life than simply my culture. And I was interested in understanding the original teachings of the Buddha. And so I had to study not only the teachings of the Buddha, I was also studying other religions and also other philosophies, and I studied modern psychology, Western philosophy, Western science. All these things help me to understand and identify the original teachings. A very important realization was that I began to see that Buddhism, normally people begin to ask, what is Buddhism? Is it a religion or is it a philosophy? Some people think Buddhism is not a religion, it is a philosophy, they say. This is really an idea coming from the West, because for the Westerner, religion means the belief and worship of the Creator or maybe some other gods. That is how they think of religion. Now, Buddhism doesn't believe in a Creator and is not worshipping gods and praying to gods. So they begin to classify Buddhism under philosophy, or they even call it a atheistic philosophy, and sometimes compared to Marxism. But that is also not correct. And what I saw was that Buddhism, if we begin to use modern terms to define it or to identify it, it is better called a form of psychotherapy or a psychology. And but at the same time, it takes the place of a religion. It is a religion in a way, and it is also a philosophy. But when we say religion, most people think it is the worship of gods. So therefore, it is not, strictly speaking, a religion as it is understood in the West. And it is also not a philosophy, because philosophers are mainly making use of reason and trying to understand the world, the life and everything by making use of human intelligence only. And the other thing is, philosophy doesn't mean really that we are making use of it to live our lives. So philosophers don't live philosophy, although they speak about philosophy. And but when we begin to take it as a kind of psychotherapy, it becomes very closely related to our lives, how we should live and how we should understand ourselves. So psychology is a better term, or psychotherapy is a better term to refer to the teachings of the Buddha, because in a way Buddhism is a psychotherapy in the sense that it is a psychotherapy for normal people. Now today the psychotherapy is mainly for abnormal people, to make them normal. The effort of the psychotherapist is to bring abnormal suffering to a level of normal unhappiness.